And now, without further ado, I'm very, very proud to introduce a person who has become a personal friend of mine, but who is also our representative here in Central New York, Congressman Brandon Williams. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you all for being here. I say this every time, there's nothing like standing in the company of veterans. And as a veteran myself, it's different. And I think for everyone that's here that is served in the armed forces, thank you for your service, as you hear too often. But the real benefit of serving in uniform, at least for me, is the camaraderie. And it's when people say thank you, I say you're welcome, but I know I received a lot being in the company of other people who served. And that's actually the payoff, the payback that I get is being in the company of veterans. So it's an honor to stand among you. As I get started, actually, I want to start just by recognizing my wife, Stephanie. Between us, we represent half of the armed services, depending on how you slice that now. I don't know about Space Force, but anyway. So I was the Navy ensign marrying the colonel's daughter. Yeah, she's outranked me for 32 years. That's how that works. And I tell this funny story, because she is a very, very proud Army brat, even as you say it. We had been married a couple of years. I'm on a submarine. I've got 500 days at sea, and we're talking among friends. And she said, "Well, I grew up on military bases. My dad was in the military. We lived in military housing." And finally, I said, "Honey, I'm in the military." And she looked at me without missing a beat. And she goes, "You're just in the Navy," and then kept going. And as many times as I've told that story, she's never backed away from it. And we're an Army house, despite 5 years active duty in the Navy. But what's significant about Armed Forces Day and our marriage is it really is about service. And I find myself, serving now in Congress. We never planned on having a political career. I didn't know anybody in politics 2.5 years ago. And we describe it as I got tired of throwing things at the TV. And if you've served, it's like, if it's not me, then who? Right? As veterans, if it's not us, then who? And that's actually the decision that we made, and we showed up. And there are certain people that like to control the political establishment. And they told me I couldn't run because it wasn't my turn. And quite frankly, a lot of the people here are the ones who said, "Hey, look, we're with you, and we're going to go out and just go direct to the people." And that's exactly what we did. I want to give you a quick update, just a couple of points of now serving you in Congress for a year and a half. To be honest, it's worse than you think, and I'm sorry to say that, but I just wanted to tell you the way it is. We have a system of government, okay, and it's a system that Abraham Lincoln described as being, of the people, for the people, by the people, and that's not really what I see. I see a lot of, frankly, career politicians that serve themselves. I see a lot of people that maybe don't respect our traditions and our structure, and even though they may, espouse opinions that you agree with, they're not really trying to work to preserve the system, and I see that quite a bit, and it concerns me a lot. And the only thing I can tell you is that we've got to have better leaders in this country.
Yes.
Okay, and because I'm here in an official capacity, I'll just tell you that we need more veterans in Congress. There is something about having served that makes you think about the bigger picture, that thinks about what you serve, about protecting our country, protecting our way of life. I want to share one other story because Officer Allen is here, and we've worked with his office recently to try to get funding for the New York Mills Police. And the loss of the two officers, Husak and Jensen, may be the most important single thing that I do in serving in Congress. Attending those services and standing, just recognizing those families, recognizing those two men who served us on the floor of the House of Representatives. The police are all that stand between order and chaos, between civilization and crime. And there's something in particular about the death of these two officers that really tore at the fabric of our community in a way that I think affected a lot of people. So for the law enforcement officers, we thank you on this day for protecting us here at home. We live in a dangerous world, folks. Like I said, I've got 500 days at sea on a nuclear submarine. I was the strategic missile officer on my sub. I was in the chain of command for the release of nuclear weapons. I care very deeply about deterring our enemies and protecting our allies. I've been to Israel. I was in Israel just a little over a month ago, and witnessed firsthand and talked with victims firsthand of this incredible crime and Holocaust type event that has taken place there. And it's very powerful to see what a people who have experienced this terrible thing draw together to defend their country, defend their people in a very literal way. And I think that kind of revival needs to happen in America, where we recognize, frankly, the threats like what we've seen on the protests on campus and the hijacking of our higher institutions, higher learning institutions, that we really need to be serious about protecting our country. And when I ran, I'll close with this remark. People always ask me, what's the greatest threat to the United States? And I said this 2 years ago, and I say it again today. It's actually the Marxist socialist ideology that we're seeing in these protests, and that we're seeing in anti-Semitism, that we're seeing in a lot of our institutions. And we just have to be aware, because it's going to take the middle of America, and I mean the political middle of America, to wake up and recognize that threat and start taking the actions of picking leaders that are going to protect our country. So anyway, I wish I had more good news, but this is Armed Forces Day, right? And if you can't talk about hard things on Armed Forces Day, when can you? Anyway, for the veterans, God bless you and your families. Thank you for your service. I'm proud to stand with you. Thank you.